So here we have a distillery that I'm actually quite passionate about because it's made about 5 minutes away from where I grew up. Daftmill is a farm distillery. They produce all their own barley on site. Here we have the summer batch release from 2021. Was distilled in 2010. And
so it's approximately 12 years old, around about 10 to 12 years old.
They release more or less biannually, one batch in the summer and one batch in the winter. Usually, historically, it's been around 6 casks per batch with a smattering of single cask releases. Here we have the 2010 bottled in 2021 version. Daftmill Distillery was established more or less the same time as another distillery on Islay called Kilchoman. They don't release their spirit until it's at least minimum of 10 years old. And obviously, being a farm distillery, they actually only distill around the farming calendar. So in the winter and whilst they're waiting for the barley to grow in the summer.
The distillery is just outside Cooper in the Kingdom of Fife. So it's a Lowland distillery. And as you say, they grow their own barley, but they had the great good fortune of finding a shale quarry on the farm. And they had a shed load of money, and they thought, well, what are we going to do with it? And this was some years ago. And then they had this, as you know, they've got a beautiful little farm square. It was a mill and a malt mill dating from the early 18th century. In fact, I think that the plaque is from 16 something or other, 17th century. And they thought, well, wouldn't it be nice to put that to good use? It's a very small space, you know. And so they decided to become distillers. Well, they knew nothing about distilling, and but they sought good advice, and Francis Cuthbert became the master distiller, if you like, and they're very sound people, you know? And they put in 2 wee stills and the washback and a mash tun and so on, and went into business. So they were in production, and the year after year after year, and everybody's saying, well, when are you going to bottle? When are you going to bottle? And Francis would just say, when it's ready. When it's ready. They finally decided that the first batch would be done in 2018.
Yeah.
And they appointed Berry Brothers and Rudd, the oldest wine merchants in the world, wine and spirits, in London, to be in St James's, London, and to be their agents. But let's have a look at this. Great colour. American white oak again. I think they favour barrels. 200-litre barrels.
Yeah.
And I imagine first fill, but you may know more about that. Right.
I understand that they are majoritively from Jim Beam, if I'm correct, in remembering that. And yeah, for the most part, they have been exclusively first fill bourbon barrels. The one thing that they've started doing is, now that they've emptied a few barrels, is they're now refilling them. But they weren't sourcing any refill barrels from anyone else.
And that'll be good for longer maturation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll be looking forward to seeing older age statements that are coming out of these now less active casks. So,
right, far away.
Shall we crack it open
away.
And let's get it tasted? Fun fact about this one, you can see the tortoise on the top of the...
What's the story about the tortoise? I never noticed that.
They added it on recently. I suspect it's to do with doing things patiently and slowly and as they're ready. Maybe the spirit animal of the distillery.
Yeah, that's a lovely idea. But of course, many people want to know why Daftmill. It is the name of the farm, but it comes from a little stream that used to be used for the mill. Because of the way it flows, it's a sort of an illusion. It seems to flow uphill. And so hence it was called was it called the Daft Stream?
But I think it's the Daft Burn.
Daft Burn, yeah.
The single cask expressions and the inaugural have been cask strength, but the summer and winter batches have always,
Good.
so far, been 46%.
Well, a good strength. Beautiful golden colour, deep, full gold, and that's American oak, white oak. Ooh.
And immediately on the nose, you get those rich, floral, fruity characteristics
Absolutely.
that come,
Apples and pears.
allowing the cloudy wash through and not stripping it out and filtering it overly.
That's
I understand
interesting.
is supposed to be the source of those richer, fruitier aromas. But
I would have thought it's an early cut.
Yeah.
You start saving spirit early on because cloudy worts tend to make for a malty style of spirit. But this is a lovely, rich, fruity pears and syrup.
for being first fill bourbon, it's not overpowered by vanillas and caramels.
No, you're right.
such.
You're right. Fresh. It's a lovely example of a Lowland whiskey. It's got more depth than some have, and I think that's probably because they're first fill casks. Nice texture, creamy texture, sweet, light acidity, fruity acidity, vanilla coming in at the end in the aftertaste, American oak. This sort of spiciness, this light peppery spiciness, this liveliness. You know. Let's try it at reduced strength.
Yeah.
Aftertaste of coconut.
Yeah, I've often found a little bit of tropical fruits and these kind of almost pina colada type characteristics coming through from bourbon casks.
Yep.
So
Lingering a bit, desiccated coconut. The water rather suppresses the nose, actually. It's not as vivid. But the texture is enhanced, creaminess, the sweetness is enhanced, spiciness enhanced. So, as we've discovered previously, a little bit of water is a good thing with this whiskey. So it's a beautifully made Lowland malt.
patiently made.
Yeah, patiently made tortoise.
Yeah.
And to be recommended. It's a terrific achievement for brothers who had not previously been involved in the whiskey industry and but just put their back into it and and most important, had the resources to hang on.
I really like this whiskey, and I always have liked everything I've tried from this distillery. And
Nice dram, very nice dram.
yeah.
All strength them, great.
Well, they might not have known much about distilling, but they certainly knew their way around barley. So
Yeah,
that helped.
yeah.